Now, if you're British, a caddy is the tin that you keep your daily tea in. By definition, it's a small container with divisions. Being German, VW took that literally when they brought the world the very first caddy back in 1980. It's been a massive success for them as a commercial vehicle, but as an everyday runabout lifestyle commute, it hasn't really been everyone's cup of tea. So this is not a fourth generation caddy, but let's rather call it a third generation caddy that's enjoying its second facelift. The reason I say that is because the fundamentals, the nuts and bolts haven't changed. They've brought through the same engines we know, the 1.6 petrol and the 2-litre TDI. Great engines, nothing wrong with them. It's also still running on the old Mark V platform. It's not on VW's new MQB platform. So what has changed essentially is they've just brought the family face to the exterior styling, like the rear end a lot, and importantly they've enhanced the interior, and I think that is probably where they needed to do a bit of work, especially consider their main competitor being Ford with their Connect. It's very car-like and a lot of trim that comes in standard. What I do like, as with all VW, it's just very simple, very clean, no fuss, no clutter. I really like the layout and the feel, very car-like when you're sitting behind the wheel. But you do realize that the Caddy was born as a commercial vehicle because there is no beautiful, soft, tactile experience when you're in the car. Everything is hard plastic. But of course, the Caddy is essentially about practicality and clever little storage areas. And for me, it's a bit of a hit and miss. They've got some really cool storage space. Like for me, sitting here in the back, they've got these little hidden compartments under your feet, really nice. When you get into the front, great. They've got a really big storage bin at the top above your air vents in the center cluster in the dash with a 12-volt charge point. But then it's not rubberized. So whatever you put on there goes sliding around when you're driving. The same can be said for their little USB point. They've got a perfect position for you to put your phone in, which is great. But again, not rubberized, no carpeting, so everything slides around in there. Where they do put carpeting is in the cup holders. I mean, bizarre. Lovely, you can take them out, you can clean them, but they think of that, but they don't think of the real areas you're going to be utilizing and using. In the back, no cup holders. They've got one in the center cluster. But again, it doesn't accept a big bottle. So it's just these awesome things they just keep missing. I love the top storage. You'll know from every Caddy, above the driver and front passenger, you can put so much stuff overhead. But again, a simple thing like a carpet or rubberizing it is going to make things stay in place and not slide around while you're driving. The rear legroom for me was actually quite surprising because I haven't really spent time in the Trendline, in the short wheelbase. I've always been in the Maxis. Maxis with the bigger doors, longer wheelbase, there's just so much more space. And I find it hard to believe that there's even a 7-seat option in the short wheelbase because I don't know how you're going to access the rear, and I don't imagine you're going to have too much space. So the Maxi just seems to make a lot more sense. Love the headroom, plenty of space there. So the Trendline has a traditional boot opening mechanism, whereas your crew bus and panel van obviously has a split door configuration. What I find in the real world, the boot opening like it does in the Trendline is actually not that practical, and it takes up a hang of a lot of space. What is cool in both of them though, that you've got a very low load bed, which makes accessing the rear and loading stuff in and out very easy. So if you've ever found yourself behind the wheel of a Caddy, be it the crew bus or the panel van, and then you step into this, the Trendline, you're going to notice a big difference. The NVH levels are much improved. It is a more insulated cabin. It feels more car-like, which is a really good thing. I love the driving position. We know South Africans like that SUV type ride height, and you certainly do get that in this. But it does, it's very easy to drive. It feels like you're driving a normal car. And the good thing is, again, they are using two engines that have been solid for them. Reputable engines, no problems, been around for a long time. Well, I guess especially the diesel, when I say no problems, that's if you exclude Dieselgate. But the 1.6 and the 2-litre diesel, the 1.6 petrol, you're only going to find in the panel van or in the crew bus, and obviously the one we're driving in the Trendline, you've got the 2-litre TDI engine, which comes out in two performance variants, 81 kilowatts or the 103 top spec one. But there are a lot of nice features in the car that I've been enjoying, but sadly they're not standard. And it's not that they're very special, it's just things like a multi-function steering wheel. I would expect to be standard fare, but that's an optional extra. Cruise control is an optional extra. This amazing screen that they've now got, the park distance control, the rear camera, those things are all optional extras. And I think when you start looking at Ford and what they offer with the Connect, there's a lot more tech that is included as standard, and I think that's probably the challenge that VW the Caddy has. No one's going to argue with me when I say the Caddy is definitely a function over form type of offering, but the real strength that VW has with the Caddy brand is that they offer diversity. So whether it's a panel van you want, the crew bus, short wheelbase, or the maxi, there is something for everybody out there. The challenge though is with a vehicle like this, the Trendline, because you're appealing to a more car-like consumer. And I think that is why their focus with this facelifted version has been on improving the interior, making the styling look a little bit more car-like. And I think that is how they're going to win over new consumers. Motorists out there that start seeing the car-like benefits of this with the practical advantage as well of the added space. My pick would not be the short wheelbase. I think the Maxi just makes a lot more sense. If you look at the price, $344 as base, we're not talking with extras, $360 for the Maxi, that 20 grand seems a worthwhile spend. The top spec is just over $390, and that's the more powerful 2-litre TDI engine, and it also comes with a 6-speed DSG box. Very nice.